Do any of you remember the game that swept the internet back in 2020, and then everyone just sort of stopped talking about it after a while? Okay, I just realized that I just described several games. Okay, here, let me rephrase it a little bit. Does this name sound familiar to you?
My fellow Americans, let me be clear. A Bunger?
Maybe this silly little creature also looks familiar to you. Am I jogging your memory yet? Are you starting to remember the phenomena of a game called Bugsnax? Yeah, that's right, that cute little game full of living foods. Back in 2024, I was reminded of this game when I was digging through my Steam wishlist during the summer sale, and I saw that Bugsnax was on sale. Now, up until this point, I knew absolutely nothing about the game other than my goat Bunger, so I decided to finally meet Bunger in person and bought the game. Little did I know at the time that I just bought a surprisingly disturbing horror game. Okay, I realize that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but look, I promise you that this isn't another SpongeBob roller coaster GIF analysis of a game where I read too deep into lore that wasn't intended or doesn't exist. Where like I talk about how the entire premise of Minecraft is actually the imagination of a child in a coma, or something stupid like that. No, Bugsnax has very intentionally disturbing elements to it, and if I explain it any further right now, then I'll be spoiling the big twist at the end. Join me today as I unravel the tale of Bugsnax, where I'll focus primarily on what the reality of the Bugsnax truly are. Now, even though the truth about what lies beyond Bunger's beady little eyes is terrifying, do you want to know what's even scarier? It's the fact you want to subscribe! You want to subscribe so badly! And if you don't, the Queeble gets it. Okay, but for realsies, please do subscribe. It helps me out a ton. Anyways, enjoy the video. Oh, also like the video and consider being a channel member. Thanks. A bug snack. Part bug, part snack, and completely delicious. The best part about them? There's practically an endless supply of them all over Snacktooth Island. They even have a fun little gimmick of temporarily transforming your body parts into whatever snack you ate. What's not to love about them? Well, I can think of three. First, their insane amount of calories in each one. Good lord! 2 million calories? How are you meant to live after eating that? The second one being how the bug snacks are actually... Oh god, no. And that's my third reason. Moths are supreme, knocking us out of the sky. Wait. Let's run things back to one real quick. How did we even end up in this situation? To understand that, let's look 24 hours into the past, where our editor Clamby Clumbernut is yelling at us. See, we're actually a journalist, and not just any journalist, we're apparently a decently notorious journalist who covers cryptids and conspiracies, much to our editor's disapproval. Our recent story that we caught wind of is an island full of these so-called bug snacks, where we were invited by the notorious Elizabeth Megafig to come join her on her expedition of the island. The only issue is, however, is that according to Clamby, this island is sort of a Bermuda Triangle, where everyone that travels there disappears forever. Regardless, we travel to Snacktooth Island anyways, which leads us to now, where we get absolutely obliterated by Moths Supreme. After navigating through the outskirts of Snacktooth Island and knocking ourselves out, we meet the first member of the colony of Grumpuses that Lisbeth brought to the island, Filbo. Filbo is a resident boy failure of the island, and also the appointed mayor of Snacksburg after Lisbeth disappeared. Also, I'd like to emphasize the fact that Filbo is a boy failure. So much so that he managed to let the entire 13-person colony fall apart thanks to his incompetence. So, because he sucks at his job so much, he gets us to reunite the merry band of misfits that travel to the island. Throughout our reuniting of all the characters, each one has us do various quests related to retrieving snacks. And as unlikely as it may seem for each character, they all accidentally give us hints on what the truth is behind the bug snacks of Snacktooth Island. So, let's go over each of the characters' hints about the truth behind the bug snacks, and see if you can figure it out before I tell you the big reveal. Let's start with Wambus, an honest-to-God hard-working farmer who really misses his wife Tryphene. Like, he really misses her, to the point where he started pretending a cactus is his wife. He should definitely join the club of characters who really miss their wives, right next to Alan Wake and James Sunderland. Okay, I'm getting a bit sidetracked. Wambus has been trying to make it his mission to make Bugsnax sustainable, but no matter how hard he tries, nothing seems to work. He can't breed them and he can't grow them. The strange thing to him, however, is that he's certain he can grow the Bugsnax, since he's seen them pop out of the ground before covered in slime. Despite all this, nothing is going to deter him from trying anyways. This is definitely a little odd, because the Bugsnax seem to be living beings, so they should be able to reproduce. Unless they aren't actually living? Now, someone who can maybe give us a little bit of insight on Wambus's observation is Snorpy. Now, it might seem hard to believe that Snorpy has much anything useful to say, since most of the time he just rambles about his nonsensical conspiracy theories about the so-called Grumpinati. He actually does have a very interesting theory about the Bugsnax while interviewing him, or if you take a look at this here conspiracy board, where he seems to believe that there might be some big Bugsnax factory underneath the big mountain. If we were to assume that this were true, then it would at the very least make some sense as to why the Bugsnax keep seemingly popping out of the ground randomly. But like, do you seriously expect me to believe the guy that thinks that the Grumpinati is after him, and thinks the Quookie is somehow related to UFOs? Absurd! Though Snorpy isn't the only one with smarts on the island. Another person on the island is Snorpy's sibling Floofty, who's a mad scientist. Although they don't care for things like theories about what the Bugsnax really are, they do make a really interesting observation about the Bugsnax's effect on the body. See, they decided to go a bit far with their experiments and cut off their own leg to test a hypothesis that Bugsnax remember limbs and can grow back Floofty's missing leg. And surprisingly enough, their leg does grow back in the form of a Bugsnax. Although this does seem really revolutionary and life-changing, I feel like Floofty seems a little too caught up in the fact that their hypothesis was correct to wonder why the Bugsnax changed their missing leg into the Bugsnax they ate. Like, it's not like the Bugsnax just immediately went from their stomach to their leg. The Grumpuses clearly can digest things, so then where'd this new leg come from? Is it even their leg anymore? Or is their leg just like, made of Bugsnax now? These Bugsnax limbs seem to be functionally the same as before, and now it kind of raises the question of if there's any upsides or downsides to these new limbs. For instance, if we feed someone a Kokomite and change their arm into a Kokomite, it's now a straw. Does it mean that they're weaker now? Well, someone that can give some weirdly good insight into this is the local handyman Snorpy's love interest, Chandlo. See, Chandlo's been hellbent on this entire trip to get stronger for Snorpy, but nothing seems to work. He thinks eating stronger Bugsnax like Cinnasnails or Mama Melon will make him stronger, but every time he seems to be at the exact same level of strength as before. So I guess that means that the Bugsnax seem to recreate limbs with the exact same amount of mass as the limb they replace. This obviously seems to really upset Chandlo though, cause he's really hellbent on being as strong as possible for Snorpy, and is just certain if he eats the right Bugsnax he'll be strong enough. It's actually kind of weird to me how hellbent Chandlo is on eating the Bugsnax to get stronger. It almost feels like he's addicted to them. And he's not the only one who feels the need to keep eating the Bugsnax. Meet the local gossip girl Beffica. After interviewing her and hanging out with her a bit, we learn that she's been on the run after pissing off her old friends. Her only way of coping with her overwhelming feeling of loneliness is to eat Bugsnax. In fact, she really likes eating Bugsnax, to the point where she seems almost dependent on them. Whenever she feels sad, she always says,
"If nothing else, I can always rely on Bugsnax."
So this is definitely a very concerning confirmation that the Bugsnax are addictive. But that raises a very important question as to why are they so addictive? Well, maybe we need a little bit of a less scientific look at the Bugsnax and look at them from a more superstitious perspective. So let's talk to the local guru, Shelda. See, throughout the entire game, she warns everyone of the dangers of the Bugsnax, about how they're supposedly poison that corrupts the body, the mind, and the soul, and that true strength comes from within, not from Bugsnax. Though, I think she might be full of it. I mean, she talks such a big game about how bad the Bugsnax are, yet she also has us put Bugsnax in a box to, quote, purify them. But it's very apparent that she's been eating the Bugsnax when no one's looking. But even still, she could be onto something, since there's ancient ruins all over the island. Yet it seems almost like all the Grumpuses on the island before Elizabeth's crew arrived had died off. Maybe with some archaeological information about the past civilizations, we can learn a little bit more about the Bugsnax. Thankfully, there's someone that can help us, that being Wambus's wife Triffany, who's an archaeologist. She actually provides a ton of information about the Bugsnax, maybe a little bit unintentionally. When we first meet her, we learn some interesting details, one of which being that despite the ancient Grumpuses having a dedicated burial chamber for the dead, there's a bunch of bodies buried out in the open. We also learn a strange detail about how some of the dead Grumpuses have fossilized remains of Bugsnax inside of them, which appear to be bones from Ribblepedes. The strange thing about that, though, is that Ribblepedes don't actually have bones. Triffany even remarks after eating a Ribblepede that they're soft all the way through, including the supposed bones. Another thing we learn while doing her side quest is that she's been looking for her grandma who went to Snacktooth Island, only to vanish without a trace. During our investigations to discover the fate of Triffany's grandma, we discover a couple of strange details. First, when we go to Boiling Bay, when we scan a green crapple, there's some curious flavor texture in Triffany that says that it's the exact same shade of green as her grandma. And second, when we go to Frosted Peak, we see that Triffany discovers what initially was thought to be the remains of her grandma. But upon closer inspection, she sees that some of the details seem off about these remains. And on top of that, the flavor text when scanning these remains has a quote from Floofty, who says that these remains should have been perfectly preserved due to the cold. But then how does Grumpus decay until they became bones? The last big piece of info we learned while investigating with Triffany is that the ancient Grumpuses seem to be fighting or hunting the Bugsnax, most notably Moths Supreme. We've also seen other cave paintings before, such as in Garden Grove we see the ancient Grumpuses fought what seems to be Mama Melon. It almost seems like there's a little bit of a Bugsnax hierarchy. We can kind of see it with certain Bugsnax such as Sandopedes following a lead Sandopede, or Mama Melon protecting her wee melons. So maybe that means that there's a Bugsnax that rules over the rest of them. Well, if you can believe it, we aren't the only ones on the island that think this. A very unlikely character to provide some insight on this is Wiggle, a failed star who's trying to come up with a new smash hit song. Throughout her brainstorming process, she ends up coming up with the total crackpot theory that there might be some sort of queen of Bugsnax. Now, if we were to assume that there is some sort of Bugsnax hierarchy, then it would make some sense that there's some sort of queen of Bugsnax. But if there is a queen of Bugsnax, then what could be more powerful than goddamn Moths Supreme? Jeez, this is a lot of info for us to process. It's probably for the best if we maybe sleep on it and think about it more in the morning. What is that? Who's over there? Is that Lisbert? Where'd you go? Surely that wasn't just a figment of my imagination, right? Well, we aren't the only ones who are pretty sure they see Lisbert in the middle of the night. Meet Gramble, the local bleeding heart and true Bugsnax pacifist. And that's not an exaggeration, he wholeheartedly refuses to eat the Bugsnax. Or at least while he's conscious. And this is likely on account of him needing to find someone to call family, since he's been abandoned by his own family. But I'm getting sidetracked. Gramble often has this bad habit of sleepwalking, and he sometimes wakes up in the middle of the wilderness. And sometimes when he wakes up, he claims to see Lisbert watching him. So then that confirms it. The thing we saw off in the distance was Lisbert, right? Well, maybe not. If we speak with the local con artist Cromdo, he has a theory that Lisbert and her partner Eggabell probably just ditched everyone on the island, since when he looked for the boat they arrived on, it was gone. Hey, wait a minute. Where is Eggabell anyways? I just realized that we've all been so focused on Lisbert, I don't think anyone's paid much mind to the fact that her partner's also gone. The only thing that we have to go off with her is that she and Lisbert had a big fight before they both disappeared. Well, if you can believe it, Cromdo's theory was wrong, since after Triffany and Wambus clear the way to the mountain, we discovered this is where Eggabell has been this whole time, and apparently it's where Lisbert is too. Well, sort of. See, Lisbert's actually stuck inside these ancient ruins, and all we need to do to get inside is to do a quick little puzzle, grab Filbo to press a button, and then we almost get killed by falling debris. Okay, well, I guess we need to give Eggabell a little bit more time to figure out how to open the door. So, in the meantime, let's throw one last party before we go discover what the Bugsnax truly are.
Chum, I need your help with a matter of grave importance. You see, my seismic readings have been off the charts today, and I fear something terrible is happening just off the coast.
Okay, I guess we're gonna postpone our entry into the ruins and explore this weird new island alongside Chandler, Triffany, Floofty, and Shelda. Now, when we get to this new island, we discover a bunch of cool new things. Though, I think the coolest thing is Big fucking Bunger! Yes! But we aren't here for Big Bunger. We're here for lore. And this island helps us learn some of the lore of the Bugsnax. See, on this island while exploring with Triffany, we learned that there's an ancient civilization here that worshipped the Bugsnax. Though, despite all the evidence that there's a large civilization here, there's a strange lack of remains of the ancient Grumpuses. Interesting. Another character that has some surprisingly useful insight while we're investigating on this island is, if you can believe it, Shelda. When we go through her quests, we actually learn that she isn't some con artist, but she really does believe what she preaches. She just sometimes gives in to her urges and eats the Bugsnax. We learn that she comes to the horrifying revelation that the Bugsnax may really have been one of the creations of her god, despite being so certain that they aren't. Honestly, the other two Grumpus' story arcs aren't really that notable when it comes to the lore of the Bugsnax. Floofty's just curious about the shrink spice, and Chandler's struggling with his feelings for Snorpy. The biggest lore reveal, however, is when we enter a chamber of the ruins, that disturbingly seems to be a sacrificial chamber where Grumpuses would be sacrificed to the Bugsnax. Is that why there's hardly any remains? Because all the Grumpuses got sacrificed? But wait, how would the Grumpuses even get consumed by the Bugsnax? Most of them don't even seem capable of eating. You know what? Actually, the scariest thing about the sacrificial room is probably the fact that Chandler ate a Bugsnax that is over 2 million calories! Jesus Christ! Anyways, after that, our trip to Broken Tooth is just about finished. Though, before we return to Snacktooth Island, let's also quickly open up this door and grab this mysterious key. Now, where does this key take us exactly? Well, it takes us to the secret area in Boiling Bay, called the Triplicate Space. Here, we learn about the truth behind the fabled Grumpinati. Okay, well, not exactly the Grumpinati, but rather a different shadowy organization that gets mistaken for the Grumpinati, called the Snackalites, who are the descendants from Grumpbeard's final voyage. In the Triplicate Space, we find old tape recordings intended for our editor, Clamby, who's implied to have actually explored Snacktooth Island back in the day. In the Triplicate Space, we also find some mildly disturbing murals with some unsettling implications. The less disturbing of the two is a mural of what I believe are the two previous queens of the Snackalites. Huh, this one kinda looks like Lisbert. The second mural, however, is very unsettling. Much like in the sacrificial chamber on Broken Tooth, we see a mural of a Grumpus getting sacrificed to the Bugsnax. After being sacrificed, we see this Grumpus turn into pieces of Bugsnax and then fall apart. The final part of this mural shows some gigantic Bugsnax monster. When we finally reach the final room in the Triplicate Space, we actually discover that Clamby had been indoctrinated into the Snackalites. But if that's the case, then why was she trying so hard to dissuade us into going Snacktooth Island if she knew that this whole time that Bugsnax were real? This whole side quest makes my head hurt. Alright, well, with that side quest out of the way, we can finally get on with learning what the truth is behind the Bugsnax. Hey, wait! I just realized, I completely neglected to mention a whole section of the overarching story that happens throughout the game. So, every time a few Grumpuses get brought back to Snaxburg, Filbo decides to throw a party, which almost always goes terribly. Though the biggest thing of note is always what causes the parties to end. That being something or someone stalking the residents of Snaxburg. The biggest run-in of note, however, is when everyone's woken up in the middle of the night by some loud noises, where everyone's greeted by the sight of Gramble's barn door being opened, and the Snaxburg sign being graffitied, saying, "No more Bugsnax." But who is the one that did this? As far as we're aware, everyone loves Bugsnax. Everyone has their own theories, Wiggle thinking it could be the Queen of Bugsnax, whereas Gramble and Beffica think it's a monster. Honestly, all of their theories could be true. What if it's that mysterious person that we saw when we woke up in the middle of the night? Well, the only way for us to know for sure is to know what's inside the mountain temple. And I swear this time I won't stall again. So, after throwing one last party where Snorpy and Chandlo confess their love for each other, and Triffany showcases how powerful her tism is, and an earthquake destroys all of Snaxburg, we finally get to know what the truth is behind the Bugsnax. After Filbo gives everyone a motivational speech, Eggabell takes us and Filbo up to the mountain temple, where we finally safely open the doors, and after entering, the floor collapses underneath us. Once we wake up, we see food. Lots and lots of food. Actually, come to think of it, these all are the various foods that the Bugsnax seem to be made of. Was Snorpy right for once? Is there really a Bugsnax factory underneath Snacktooth Island? But wait, what's this? Is this a person made of Bugsnax? And they're gone. What the hell is going on here? Once we find Filbo, we continue traversing the tunnels until we finally meet Lisbert? What happened to her? She ends up revealing to us that what happened to her was that she was attacked by the Bugsnax, where they force-fed her more and more snacks. And the reason they did that? The Bugsnax aren't harmless little creatures. They're actually very insidious parasites that literally turn Grumpuses into more Bugsnax. And they do it by exploiting each individual's weaknesses and vulnerabilities to get them to eat more Bugsnax. The only reason Lisbert isn't also a bunch of Bugsnax running around the island deceiving everyone into eating them is because of her sheer willpower, where instead of her becoming the Bugsnax, she forced the Bugsnax to become her, thus making her sort of the Bugsnax matriarch. It all makes sense now. Everyone's theories and insights were surprisingly all connected. There is actually a queen of Bugsnax in the form of Lisbert, and the reason Wambus can farm the Bugsnax is because they reproduce through converting Grumpuses. The reason he saw them pop out of the ground is because the island is literally made of Bugsnax. I bet that's why the boat they arrived on disappeared. It wasn't because of Lisbert and Eggabell ditching everyone, it was probably the island consuming the boat. It should have been obvious how insidious the Bugsnax are. It was weird how almost everyone was addicted to eating the Bugsnax, especially Beffica and Chandlo. It's because they were being manipulated by them to keep eating the Bugsnax. Sheldon was right the whole time. They are a poison. That's almost definitely what caused the collapse of the ancient civilization that lived on this island and Broken Tooth. The Bugsnax likely consumed everyone. Actually, come to think of it, if the island's made of Bugsnax, then does that mean that the fossils Triffany found were just mirages like the whole island is? And were just made of Bugsnax too? Was there even any civilization here to begin with? Was anything here real to begin with? Was the Mama Melon just pretending to defend the wee melons into tricking us into thinking that there's an ecosystem here? And wait a minute, the signs are in front of us this whole time that the Bugsnax are grumpuses. The gummy snack pods are literally full of gummy grumpuses. And oh my god, the green crapple. It's the same shade of green as Triffany's grandma. Is the green crapple a piece of Grandma Lottablog? Does this mean that the characters have been eating Triffany's grandma? When we discover the reality behind the Bugsnax, we decide to get off the island immediately. And while we're repairing the boat to escape, we get attacked by the various Bugsnax. And if we fail to stop the Bugsnax from feeding themselves to the grumpuses, we see potentially some of the most heartbreaking scenes in the entire game.
I can't take them all. Gotta protect Snorpy. I'll never be strong enough. I gotta be more than me. I gotta be Bugsnax.
Chandlo, no! I see what you're doing, you delectable automatons. I know too much. I have to be destroyed. It's the only way to keep Chandlo safe. You win, Grumpinati. Your secrets die with me.
Snorpy! No!
There's no point in going back with them. I don't have a life or friends. Nobody I can really trust anyway. But Bugsnax, I can trust you to be delicious.
Sorry, Beth.
There, little one. I would never abandon you. We're a family now. And we're gonna be together forever.
Rambo, my love. I'm so sorry. This is the end, yeah? I was gonna end up here one way or another. Not that it mattered anyhow. The only thing that matters out here is Bugsnax.
Triffy! No, that can't be.
I'm such a failure. I couldn't even control my hunger. No wonder nobody believed in me.
Rambus! You big dumb fool!
I see. There's no need to kill me if I'm already dead inside. Chandlo, of all the secrets I kept, at least I got to tell you the one that really mattered. And now, whatever machinations the Grumpinati may be planning, I'm going to crush them.
We were amazing together, Snorpy. I feel so weak without you. There's never gonna be another Snorpington Fizzlebean. Not in a million years! And dog, if the Grumpinati are out there, I'm gonna crush them!
Snorpington is dead, which is a simple yet unfathomable fact. It is tempting now to unhinge myself from the concept of self-preservation and pursue a Pyrrhic victory over the parasites that shatter our fragile world. But if I allow myself this one small sentiment, I should instead take on some fraction of my brother's caution and conscience. After all, somebody needs to look after Chandlo.
I'm sorry, Triffy. I know what you wanted most was to be remembered. So I'll remember you every day. I'll buy back our old house. I'll preserve it. Everything you and me ever did. I'll pass it down so nobody ever forgets.
Wambi! Why did you stay? I was always ready for my end, but not yours. I know you just wanted a place to call your own. I'll grow a garden with all your favorite plants. I'll make sure it lasts. Longer than us, at least.
Once Filbo gets the boat started up and presumably everyone gets on, we get some deja vu where fucking Mothza Supreme gets ready to attack us. But before it can do that, Lisbeth and Eggabell knock it out of the sky, saving us. Upon escaping, all the survivors vow to better themselves, and we get fired from our job as a journalist. We're then shown various epilogue photos, and we hear an ominous voicemail sent to Clamby from the guy from the Triplicate Zone, possibly hinting at a sequel. And that's Bugsnax, a cute body horror game about parasites that taste really good. I realize now that I might have overhyped the horror aspect a tad bit, but like, even if we ignore the twist ending, you cannot tell me that this isn't horrifying. He looks like a burn victim! Now, I know I focus on the spooky aspects about this game a lot, but there's actually a lot more of this game than just a disturbing twist ending. This game goes heavily into the topics of relationships and self-acceptance. It also has a lot of yaoi and yuri. So if you're curious about the rest of the game, then I strongly recommend that you check it out for yourself. It's a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm experimenting a bit with this by making a good bit shorter than my normal videos. So if you want to see more videos like this in the future, then let me know in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching if you still are, and until next time.